The existence of death penalty in the judicial branch is not surprisingly controversial in society. The idea of murdering someone because it is wrong to kill another person is not ethical and goes against our own principles. So why is it allowed? What I think is that capital punishment is not under any circumstances acceptable, and it should be abolished from society. First of all, how do we really know the criminal or the person being accused is not innocent? There have been cases in which the actual true evidence has been hidden and is found time after the criminal, who turns out to be innocent, has been dead and judged unfairly by the law. The judicial system also makes mistakes all the time. So why should we leave the right of life of a person under their hands, or the victim's family's testimony for that matter, who only probably want revenge on the accused individual? Leonel Herrera was executed in 1993 for the crime of murder, and months later another man claimed to have been guilty in charge of the crime, so Herrera died an innocent man by death penalty. The state also spends more money in death penalty than what it spends financing an inmate's life imprisonment in a cell. The California Commission on the Fair Administration of Justice states that the government spends an average of $135 million per year in the death penalty system, whereas a person who's private of their freedom during their whole life takes only an average of $11.5 million per year. So the US ends up spending money which they could use for better purposes into something that firstly should have been abolished since older times, just as we've adopted and changed things that were practiced in the past and are now considered barbaric in the modern world. Although I admit it is very carefully handled by the people who make it happen, the act in which the person is being put down either by a lethal injection, electrocution, a firing squad, hanging, or gassing can always go wrong and make the victim, who is in this case the person accused of murder, die very painfully. John Wayne Gacy was supposed to die by a lethal injection, but instead of dying out of a paralyzed diaphragm through the lethal injection, he was unable to breathe for several minutes and had a painful death of 18 minutes without anybody noticing it. So he too was another victim of death penalty. A counterback argument that many people argue about is that death penalty reduces criminality in places who allow it. However, this statement has no correlation whatsoever to the crime rate in places who allow death penalty or in those who do not allow it. Studies from the New York Times have shown that in a state such as New York, where death penalty was abolished in 1963, the crime rate has lowered from 2,000 to 500 in a decade. The state of Texas, however, allows capital punishment, and the crime rate has not changed through the years. So, the question is, do criminals really fear death penalty? What I think is that there are other ways to avoid criminality, such as putting cameras everywhere or emergency buttons for victims. Capital punishment is wrong for all of this and many other reasons. It should be eliminated not only from the United States but in all governments across the globe. Jails are strong enough punishment to make a person to rehabilitate a person and not make them want to go back. So why not give it a chance? Not only that, but it also takes time and money that we could use for better purposes other than killing people. Capital punishment, as I restated, is wrong and should be eliminated everywhere across the globe. It is not right in any circumstances and it should be abolished.